Let's go! Batter up! We're taking the afternoon off. It's a beautiful day for a ball game, today. The fans are out to get a ticket or two. From Walla Walla, Washington to Kalamazoo. It's a beautiful day for a home run, but even a triple's okay. We're gonna cheer and boo and raise a hullabaloo at the ball game today.
Hey everybody, it's me, Rick Acosta, the Dodger Card Collector, coming to you with another video. Today is Saturday, December 14th, and I have just returned home from the Regional, which is a card show. This time it was in Garden Grove, California, a couple of miles south of Disneyland, just about a mile south of where the Burbank Card Show takes place in the summer, in Anaheim, excuse me. And what the Regional does is they put on these card shows in various locations throughout Orange County. They have a show in Brea. They have a show in Westminster. They have this show that I mentioned in Garden Grove. I believe they have a show in Orange. And I believe they're also responsible for the show that's going to be in Newport Beach in late May. All these shows are free. They include free parking. And while these shows, they're good shows for free, especially if you're from Orange County or if you're from South LA County and all you want to do is just go check out some cards. These are good shows to check out. And I went today, and as I mentioned last week, I wanted to go because I knew my friend Mitch was going to be, Mitch from Mitch's Vintage Collection. Did I get that right, Mitch? I have your card here. It is Mitch's Vintage Collection. I knew he was going to be there, and he's always got good stuff, so I knew that I wanted to go. But there is a little bit of vintage there. This show was interesting because the way it was advertised in a video that I saw theirs this morning was it's 150 tables, so it's not a small show. And they actually separate, supposedly, they separate the Pokemon tables from the sports card tables. So one half of the room is Pokemon, the other half was sports cards. And I didn't believe it when they said that, but when I walked in, I did end up going straight into the Pokemon area by accident. And yeah, you could see a little bit of sports cards sprinkled in, but it was really predominantly Pokemon cards. And then I went over to the sports card area, saw some tables sprinkled with vintage. Like I said, though, I went and I knew Mitch was going to be there. He knows I'm working a 1950 Bowman, and he also had some while I was there, I hung out with him for maybe an hour and a half, and he was selling some very nice T206 cards. I want to say some 1949 Bowman cards, and he sold a very nice Jim Thorpe card. I want to say from the All-American set. I don't know much about football cards. From the from like 1950, 1951. It was a beautiful card in a PSA 5. And I happened to be witness while Mitch did that. So it's fun for me to learn as the older that I get. You kind of want, for me at least, while I exclusively collect, there's a side of me that maybe when I retire, I would like to, as a side gig, would be to sell sports cards. So it's always fun to sit with people like Mitch and other sellers who I always talk about at the Burbank show, just to listen to them talk to customers and just look at their inventory and look at their prices and, can you deal with them? Or can you bargain with them? Can you not bargain with them? So it was really fun. I will show you some cards that I picked up because I did pick up some cards while I was there from Mitch because he was kind enough to have a 40% off sale on certain cards. And because Rick can't add properly, it turned into 50% off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some of my pickups from this show. But I'm really the original intentions of this video was I am going to show off, finally, my 1968 Topps set, which I completed a few weeks ago. So I want to make sure that I get that going before the end of the year. The next video after this is going to be, I am not going to do one of those top 50 or top 100 videos. I will do that, but I'm going to wait till January, because in January, yours truly is turning 60 years old, and I'm going to do a top 60. So I will wait till late January to do that. But what I will do in my next videos, I'm going to do a recap of my collecting year, showing you cards that I bought throughout the year and talking about certain shows that I went to, and just a lot of fun stuff. So stick around. I'm going to turn the camera around, or I'm going to go to a different angle, and we're going to look at some baseball cards, you guys. All right, so before I show you my 1968 set, I'm going to show you some of the cards I picked up today at the regional. And because my technical skills stink, I am going to show you Mitch's, from Mitch's vintage collection. I'm going to show you his contact info here. He's got an Instagram account, he's got his email, he's got a cell phone number. And you guys, seriously, this, my friend Mitch sells a lot of really nice cards, you guys. He has a lot of pre-war. He has a lot of vintage. He even has dollar cards. That's why I'm going to start with this 1969 Tito Francona on the Atlanta Braves. And I just happened to be thumbing through his dollar boxes, and seriously, set builders, he had a lot of 70s cards. If you're still building your 70s sets and your 60s sets, there's dollar boxes, and then there's also, he has also a box, they're not dollar cards, but he has a lot of commons. So my set building friends, please reach out to Mitch at Mitch's Vintage Collection. No, Mitch does not sponsor the show, but he's a good guy, and I like talking about good guys because not everybody here in this industry is nice. So here's my Tito Francona card, and like I said, that was in the dollar box. Now, I'm working on 1950 Bowman set. You've heard me say that a million times. Mitch, I believe, told me he at one point broke 2 sets, I believe, 2 1950 Bowman sets. And honestly, I looked through every card of his, and I still, of the 50 some odd cards I need, I think he has maybe half of them. And it was just, I didn't bring much money today, honestly, guys. I only brought $80, just because other cards have been coming in, and it's Christmas. And I have a great niece and great nephew who I desperately need to buy toys for. So I did see some cards today, though, that I really liked. And let me show them off to you. The first one is Bob Kuzava of the Chicago White Sox. Bob Kuzava. And let's see, I have to read the names on the back before I show them to you. This is Bob Elliott. Bob Elliott. And it's great finding cards that I need. That Bob Elliott, by the way, I'm going to bring that back because I feel like look at the background on that card. He's standing in front of the dugout, in front of some empty bleachers. One person back there photobombed the whole thing. I don't know if they called it back then in 1950. And then look at this card, next card. This is Jim Hegan. That's just a really pretty card. I mean, that's like in action 20 years in advance, 20 years before we started seeing them on Topps cards. And that's Jim Hegan. And then the last card was the one big card, they're all good cards. This was the one, what I would call big card that I needed. And that's this Ralph Kiner card. Hall of Famer Ralph Kiner. This is a really nice card to have. I am down to the point where the big cards that I need. Kiner was arguably probably the biggest. I still need guys. I think I need Enos Slaughter, Casey Stengel. There's a Bobby Dorr card. So these are the type of guys that I'm looking for. But it was, like I said, though, I could have bought a lot more, but hopefully those cards will still be around in February the next time I see Mitch. So I picked up all 4 of these, and like I said, these were 40% off. And because I can't add, Mitch was kind enough to give me that. And he let me take that Tito Francona card for free. He gave me everything for 50% off. So $80 for the lot. So I'm going back to my speech that I have every so often of, you don't need to take $1,000 to a card show to have fun. You can still buy really great cards for under $100. I mean, the gentleman who was next to me, his name was Albert. He had a stack of about 100 commons from the 70s. He was having a good old time. And like I say, you don't need to spend thousands to buy. Now, if you have the thousands, that's great, because then you can see some of the other cards that are there. So anyway, here are my cards from the regional show today in Garden Grove. I'm going to make the lens larger here, and we're going to look at some 1968 cards. All right, so now we're going to look at the 1968 top set. And hopefully, if Rocket Rick is watching, he has got his binder out. I learned, and I love this, I learned that when I show these videos of my sets, that Rocket J Rick 18 will follow me along by taking his own binder out and looking at cards. And I thought that was, I love that. And actually, I now go back to his videos and I get my binder out and I start watching my set through his narration. So this 1968 set is 598 cards, and we're starting off with the League Leader cards. The League Leader cards are wonderful. I was watching Mike Moynihan's video this morning. He was talking about he was showing his 1964 Hall of Fame cards, and when he got to the League Leader cards, it was just littered with Sandy Koufax all over, and it's neat to see. When you look at these cards, you see Roberto Clemente, you see Yastrzemski, Frank Robinson, Harmon Killebrew, Henry Aaron, Frank Robinson, Al Kaline. Love that absolutely when it comes to these sets or the League Leader cards. And the interesting thing is, when you're looking at League Leader cards, even from just 10 years ago, they're just filled with Hall of Famers. I mean, sometimes you'll see, like, who's that? I know I do that, like when you start looking at some League Leaders cards from the late 60s, and I don't recognize who that is. There's Denny McLain, 30-game winner. And I'll wait till I get to the Rod Carew card. There's Willie Mays. Same pose as the 1950s, same photo. That's one of the drawbacks of this set, is that they are using some cards that were previously used in different sets. That's the last Eddie Matthews card. And there's Reggie Smith's first full card. Yeah, so going back, so some of these, the players weren't taking photos anymore at this point. So some of these photos are older, or they were used in the same photo shoot from a couple of years ago. Now, Rod Carew, this is a photocopy, and for those of you that aren't aware, I have my cards all in a binder, but some of these cards I bought as graded cards, and obviously I can't put a graded card into this little area. So what I do is make a photocopy of the front, and I photocopy the back. But on the back, what I also do is use my PSA label here and just stick it on the back. That way everyone kind of knows this is a reprint. But my OCD kicks in seeing that empty, so that's why I make photocopies. And I have several of those, as I have 1, 2, 3, I believe six cards that are graded, 6 to 8 cards. And as we keep looking here, there's Bob Gibson, Don Sutton. This set I had, well, not totally, but as a child, I worked on this set as a 15-year-old. And this would have been the oldest set in my collection way back. That's a copy. You see back there. I had about 2/3 to 3/4 of this set. Now, I did not have guys like Mantle or anyone like that. I did have Nolan Ryan, though. And somewhere in the early 80s, mid-80s, I was around 2021, I sold what I had of this set for like a whopping $40. Probably one of the biggest mistakes I ever made when it came to card collecting. There's Don Drysdale, Roberto Clemente. I did have the Clemente a long time ago, and here's the World Series set. That was probably the biggest mistake I ever made when it came to card collecting, and I did that as as a young man. And I guess I'm making up for it by starting over with the set. Now you'll see here's the Dodgers, the team card. Not every team gets a team card. I think by this point, there were 20 teams in the league, and I think 3/4 of them received cards. Not everybody has a team card in 1968. Jim Fregosi, like this Jim Fregosi card, it would be the exact same photo on the 1969 card. And then there's Nolan Ryan. That's a photocopy. I'll show you that later. The big cards in this set are obviously Nolan Ryan and Johnny Bench. Those are the two rookie cards. This is the, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, this is the year the Eddie Matthews' last card was in 1968. And we just get to look at some cards here. And there's Orlando Cepeda, Mike Marshall, who would eventually win the Cy Young Award in 1974. Juan Marichal. These were the cards that I was trying to impress people with when I was 21 years old. And it's interesting to look at them now. I'll be honest, I don't think this is an okay set. For me in 1968, Harmon Killebrew, this is when card collecting kind of became easy. There's really not an issue here with high numbers compared to 1967 or 1966. It might have been the second to last series. There's Pete Rose. Might have been the second to last series that are harder to get, but these were pretty easy cards to get. Al Kaline. There's the Johnny Bench. That's a duplicate. And I just noticed I need to get a new Yaz. This Yaz is creased, so I need to fix that. Sometimes when I don't notice until I'm looking at these cards under the light, I go, oh, that one's creased. Phil Niekro, Jimmy Wynn, one of my favorite players. Let's see, Matty Alou. He was on a hitting streak at that point. He was just getting everything at that point of his career. Fourth series featuring Orlando Cepeda. There's Mickey Mantle. That's a photocopy. I'll show you my graded cards at the end, you guys. There's Willie McCovey. Rich Shandings, I can also tell that's creased. I need to fix that one. I need to start making more of these videos under the light so I could tell you what's creased, or I can make a list of what's creased and what to fix. Now back then, Topps had issues with the Astros, and they weren't allowed to use their logo on the helmet or on the uniform, and they would just call them Houston. I believe it had something to do with the Astros and the whole AstroTurf thing. I could be wrong there, but there would be a couple of years there where we'd have issues with the Astros. Again, a lot of capless shots. That's something that started once the Dodgers and the Giants moved out here. Or we get the airbrushed cap for this guy on the Astros, Ron Brand. Now the A's had also this was their first year in Oakland. They're about to move to Sacramento, but this was their first year in Oakland. So the logo is covered up there as well. There's Manny Mota, a couple of years before he was traded to the Dodgers. Roger Maris. Last year we would see a Roger Maris card. Big Roger Maris fan. Love that guy. Even though he was on the Yankees, I just never felt he got a fair shot. And even for me to this day, it just kind of bugs me. Hoyt Wilhelm. What else we got here? Ernie Banks. Let's see. Okay, here we got the All-Star cards. It's funny because 7 of these 9 players are Hall of Famers, but for some reason, like if you're comparing the 1968 All-Stars to, let's say, the 1960 or the 1961 All-Stars, not as glamorous in my opinion. But there's a lot of great players on here. There's still a lot of Hall of Famers. These are nice to look at. There's puzzles in the back. I think this sets up a big photograph of Carl Yastrzemski and another one of Orlando Cepeda. But we got the All-Stars. Let's see. Just a good-looking set to go through. There's Steve Carlton, Ferguson Jenkins, Mickey Lolich. Okay, talk about your great pictures. They're all on that page. Jim Maloney had some good years with the Reds. He had arm troubles, though, I think, that really derailed his career. Or else I think we would be talking about him a lot more. Jim Cott, now in the Hall of Fame. By the way, congratulations to Dick Allen and to Dave Parker, making the Baseball Hall of Fame and the Veterans Committee. Frank Robinson, Series 6. I believe there are 7 series in this set. Bill Freehand, All-Star catcher. Phillies team. All right, now we got a couple of combo cards here. Manager's Dream, Tony Oliva, Chico Cardenas, and Bob Clemente, otherwise known as Roberto Clemente. Chico Cardenas also was Leo Cardenas. I remember him later playing with the Angels. Then I have the Superstars. That's a photocopy. And there's Harmon Killebrew and Willie Mays and Mickey Mantle. Frank Robinson. Here's where you're getting your 50s, guys that had 1954, 1955, 1956. They had rookie cards that are very expensive, and by 1968 though they're a lot easier to find and cheaper to buy. I think that was why I worked on this set growing up, just because it was a great way to get the old Hall of Famers, their newer cards. Lou Brock, Tito Francona, the Tigers team, Bird Belters, Frank Robinson and Brooks Robinson. As we keep going through, we're almost done there, you guys. Let's take a look. The A's team. Sometimes when I go through these, I go, gosh, did I go so fast that I skipped through a card? Jim Palmer. Wilbur Wood. And let's see, what else we have here. Is that it? So our last 3 cards are Phil Ortega, Charlie Smith, Bill McCool, and Jerry May. Actually, my last 4 cards. So there's your 598 cards. Then I believe this is from Series 3. This is the 1968 Topps game set, which featured 33 cards. This was just fun to have. I'm sure if I was a kid, I would have played this game. But you could play a baseball game just by whatever card you threw in your bag, and I've never played this game, and maybe someday I'll try it. But there's a lot of good cards in here. Mickey Mantle, Harmon Killebrew, Henry Aaron, Clemente, both Robinsons, Willie Mays. It seems like the first 9 or 10 cards were like Hall of Famers, and then all of a sudden it just kind of turns into Bill Freehand, Jim Lonborg, Mike McCormick, Tim McCarver. You got your Sanos and Richie Allen now in the Hall, Rick Monday, Hal Kaline. Then we go back, here you got Rod Carew and Pete Rose and Jim Fregosi, Joe Torre. And so then we're at 33 cards. So this is the entire set. But now let's go ahead and take a look at the graded cards. All right, so here are my graded cards. Let's see, we've got the Tom Seaver. This is his first full card. It's a second-year card. And I've had this for several years. Tom Seaver. Next up, this guy, Rod Carew. I don't have the card anymore, but as a kid, I had this card, and it looked like it had been through the laundry at least 10 times. It was so wrinkled, so mangled. And I loved that card. I kind of wish I still had it, but I replaced it with this PSA 6. That's Rod Carew. Both those guys, I hope to have their rookie card someday. Don't know if that'll ever happen, but we'll see. Let's see, Hank Aaron. I picked this up at the Burbank show a couple of months ago in a 3. Hank Aaron. And this card I showed off, a couple of weeks ago. And it is the Nolan Ryan and Jerry Koosman rookie card in a 4.5. last card I needed to finish this set. And I'm still over the moon that I have this card. Brings back a lot of memories from my biggest regret was selling this. As I mentioned, I sold the starter set I had like in 1986 for like $40, something like that. And there was a Nolan Ryan card in there. And I did it for some stupid reason. I was looking for a new job, and they were back, this was pre-internet. There was a company claiming that they had some type of subscription where they get job leads quicker than the newspaper would. So I signed up for that, and for that reason, I sold my 1968 starter set. So luckily, I have it now. And there's Nolan Ryan, and the other big rookie card from that set is Johnny Bench, along with Ron Tompkins, who looks to be in an A's uniform. There's Johnny Bench. And then we've got two more. They both feature Mickey Mantle. And here's the Mickey Mantle in a 4. I did not have this card as a kid. I remember wanting this card. We're talking 1980. But even back then, this was like a $25 card, which in 1980 was a lot of money. So I never came close to buying it. But I just love having Mickey Mantle in my collection. And then the last card is another Mickey Mantle card. Superstars with Harmon Killebrew, Willie Mays, and Mickey Mantle. I never owned this as a kid. I do. I'm glad I got it now. It's just nice, like I say, to have all these cards in my collection of something that I worked on so long ago that I wasn't able to finish, but now I have. So if you stuck around this long, you guys, thanks so much for hanging out with me, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.